Hey folks, this week we are about 2 weeks past our last frost date. But one of the things that we're noticing is we're still getting very cool overnight, and I'm trying to decide what are we going to keep direct seeding, what are we going to transplant inside, and what are we going to buy as transplants. And that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video, because we have options right at this time of year, and we have worries, we have concerns about the temperature, the weather, these erratic last frost, a little bit of extra rain, which tends to cool down and sometimes rot out some of the seeds or rot out transplants or kind of keep us up at night and have some crop loss. So today we're going to talk about when to buy transplants and when to start from seed, and I'll give you some real world examples of what we're doing here, and maybe that'll give you enough information to kind of extrapolate to what you're going to do out on your place. And I think for a lot of market garden folks that are especially using their farm to generate income, and to some people that we're offsetting some of our food costs by growing some of our own stuff, we need to take a look at cost per plant. So if we take a look at buying transplants, we're looking at much higher upfront cost per plant, and that's going to be dependent on the size of the transplant you get, sometimes the variety and the location of maybe where you're getting it from. A lot of people are buying this at a big box store, a lot of people are buying it at a local nursery. Just for context in this video, Carl Baker and I from Paris Natural Farms, which is our neighbor, we've done a lot of stuff with them over the years. We're using the same wholesale grower that does a lot of vegetable stuff here. I've used them personally for over 20 years, and Carl's buying some stuff and giving stuff to us, and we're buying some stuff and giving stuff to him. And so just for transparency's sakes, I don't want anybody to think that we're starting all of our seeds this year. This year for us is very much get the infrastructure up and running correctly and semi on time. And then also for this year, it's a lot of building up of the soil and taking all this fresh soil that we have and getting some life in it. This may not be the year that I would do exactly what I would do as a market gardener, but we're just trying to get regular market garden stuff in and then some fun stuff that we've always wanted to grow around here. The other thing a transplant gives you a lot of the time is you're getting plants that everybody tends to put into their garden. And by that, you're getting celebrity tomatoes and Roma tomatoes and dill and basil of likely some unknown variety, but you know it's going to be stuff that might have been seeded or bred in your region to last in that kind of region, but you really don't know the specific varieties, and that's kind of what you lose in buying some of the transplants. But with all that being said, a lot of times you'll see herbs, $3, $4 for any herb that you pick, and that kind of sets some of those costs that you don't have to worry about every single little input that goes into a transplant. Where if we're starting seeds, let's take a look at lowering the cost at scale. You invest in trays like Bootstrap Farmer once, it's going to be there for years and years. So you may have an upfront higher cost at startup, but that incrementally goes down quite exponentially year over year as you're able to use the same pots and trays. But you will need to purchase your own media, and that also allows you to kind of tailor-made that to if you're having to adjust or amend your soil. And if you have like a lot of clay, this little bit of additive stuff that you're putting in your seed start mix over time is kind of what helps start build up some of those amendments that your soil may be lacking. And the one last little thing I want you to consider under seed starting, and this video isn't meant to be like the end all and be all comprehensive, it's just main talking points that we have if we're deciding to get a transplant or start seeds, but it's the hidden cost of what happens if we mess up this tray. And for us, it's just like I said, we'll start another tray, maybe a couple of weeks behind at that point. But for instance, one of the things we're doing to kind of hedge that is we only need about 5 tomatoes per variety of what we're trying to do here. I'm planting anywhere from 10 to 15. That way I can select the best of the best. And if one doesn't make it, I'm still gonna have a couple in reserve that I can swap out. So if you're at this point like we are right now, let us know what you're starting from seed, let you know what you're planning to go get at transplants, let your other fellow growers know what your plans are, and if they're on the fence, maybe that'll help push them one way or the other. Go ahead and comment down below. With transplants, we don't have to worry about going back in time and getting our seeds and starting them at the right time and growing them out and up potting. They're already basically up potted, ready to go and put into the ground as soon as you're ready. You do run the risk of, are the stores going to run out? Is the nursery going to run out? Are they going to have germination issues and maybe they have less of a supply? Maybe there's things going on out in the world and people are trying to grow more food and there's more demand and maybe they haven't started that up. It's all these maybes that you have to contend with and concern yourself with if you don't have time to get to the nurseries in time. Conversely, if you're like us and you started some stuff and a couple of things happened and you didn't quite get those started in time, I know I can easily go to the store right now and get almost any variety of herbs I'm looking for. And when I say variety, at least I can get basil, at least I can get dill, right? It may not be the exact basil I want, but it gives me a little bit of time where I can still have basil and then grow out different varieties as the season continues. Again, warm season plant, it's going to be a long season. Down where we're at, I'm going to have these temperatures that I can grow well into November. I'm not going to miss anything. Next consideration, and this is really going to dial down, let's look at this in two ways, that we're looking at our space considerations. If you're a market gardener and you want to start your own specialty varieties or specialty seeds or something super specific for your grow operation or your market, you're going to want to start those seeds yourself. And that means that no matter what, you're likely to have a set allocation of space, whether that's a germination chamber, grow lights, places inside that you can control until it's time to start hardening off or moving those out to a greenhouse or putting under low covers, which means you have to have all that infrastructure. Also, if you're a homeowner and you are super reserved on space, maybe you don't have a greenhouse, maybe you don't have a sunroom, but we also have to take a look at whether you're starting a few thousand seeds or a couple of dozens. That space almost always universally is going to be set by your house or your operation. And so if we know that we want to start certain varieties as a homeowner or a market gardener, we may reserve things like squash, zucchini, even some tomatoes that if we just need pounds of tomatoes for market, maybe we'll buy some stuff that's already started and we can reserve that space for the specialty tomatoes or for the stuff that you really want to grow that you know you're not going to be able to get. So buying transplants as either a homeowner or a market gardener reserves that space for what you really are going to be specializing in or your higher value crops that you just simply can't get at the nurseries. The next point is labor. Whether you're a market gardener or you're a home gardener, the list of things to do in the spring is endless. If you have a family, there's all these sports and there's school still going on, and you're trying to get your garden up and the leaves are still down and you have all these chores to do, plus just the regular everyday maintenance of everybody's lives. It all takes time, which means your garden is also competing with that time. Market gardener, same thing. You're getting your irrigation up, you're fertilizing, you're getting your transplants, you're getting ready for market. There's all these endless tasks. And as we get closer and closer to time to actually put plants in the ground, say you lose some crops that you've started with seeds, you don't have the time to grow those back out. You can then go back and know what's readily available to buy at transplants, making relationships with some of your fellow growers, other nurseries in the area, and knowing what's going to be available to where either you can save that space or you can save that labor. Same thing with your home garden. Maybe you're going to start some stuff that's really specialty that you can't get anywhere else, but your commodity crops or your everyday kind of crops are going to be available at a nursery. You buy those, you put them in the ground, and you're off to growing without having to worry about every single little seed that goes into the ground. Next up, consistency. If we are buying transplants, typically those are started either from seed by somebody that does this, like a wholesale grower that does this for decades, year over year. They have their systems down. They're going to have almost 100% germination, and you're only buying what actually germinates. We have more control. We have more variety selection. We have more options as far as amendments and the soil structure that we're putting in. But we also may have to go, hey, if I need 6 plants, I may want to start 10. I may want to start 8 or 12, depending on how finicky the variety is, to make sure that I get exactly what I need with a couple to spare. Next consideration is quality control. This is where I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I've been using this same grower for going on 20 years. It's somebody that Carl and I both have a relationship with ongoing. I can take it a step farther. I've been to their facility. I know how they operate. I know they're not spraying. I know that there's not pest control issues. And that's one thing that wholesalers have to have a license for in most states, to make sure that they're operating correctly and that you're not getting contamination from pests or other fungus. If you're buying from a known wholesaler as a farmer, or you're buying from a nursery that's buying from a wholesaler, there's things in place. Unfortunately, for a lot of that, that's single-use plastic, which means it's not year-over-year used. So I'm not worried about passing on disease or something like that. But then there's this also burden of using single-use plastic and never really having a place to turn that in unless you're going to use that back on your farm. Having your own trays and your own cleanliness and your own operation, that can be as much or as little as you're comfortable with. And again, you have complete control. Next up, we take a look at flexibility. And right now we are having to be extremely flexible because we're running a little far behind in the season. I am going and getting transplants, even that I'm not getting from Carl's, and things I want to fill in. There's some flowers I want to get in here. There's some pollinators that I want to get in here that we haven't had time to start, that we're still very much infrastructure building, plus day-to-day bootstrap stuff. And so I do need some filler crops, and I can easily go down to the store without having to worry about it or spend weeks or being super delayed and fill in some of those spots. So if you didn't start enough or you didn't buy enough, you can always finish off a row with either some different varieties or some trial varieties. And I like that word trial at this time of year, both for market gardeners and home gardeners. If you haven't had the opportunity to grow a slightly different variety, here's your chance. Get something, try something different. Gives you a good excuse to go to the plant stores and look for something fun and get that in there and see how it does. We're buying transplants when we need speed, recovery, or efficiency, whether that's starting out smaller or starting out big. That insurance aspect of it, the commodity aspect of it, where, hey, I need tomatoes, let's go get some tomatoes that are almost guaranteed to go, versus, hey, I'm going to have specialty tomatoes, I have to grow my own seeds, which means I'm responsible for all of the steps from researching, getting the seeds in, starting it at the right time, up-potting it at the right time, making sure it's fed, making sure we're getting enough light, whether that's inside, outside, we're hardening off, we're bringing things in before they get into the ground at the right time, versus, hey, I know I want tomatoes, I don't need a specialty crop, this is just for fun, or this is just to fill space at my table at the market that just people don't care what the variety is. So I'm just gonna go to the store and I'm gonna get a bunch of celebrity tomatoes and get after it. If you're going to count either what you're bringing to the market as a repeatable business, you need to be starting your own seeds. But if you're going to be growing just random zucchinis and squash, you can go get that without having to worry about babying that all along. So don't feel the pressure of starting seeds all the time, but also reserves time to learn that skill, because sooner or later you're going to need it. It's going to save you time. It's going to open up the world in which you have more varieties, more specialty varieties, and whether that's for your home kitchen or the kitchens of the people that you're selling to at market, being able to fully tell that full story and share that local food knowledge is really why we're all in this. And that's how I'm deciding what plants I'm going to be planting and what I will be starting from seed. We'll see you in the next video. We're planting heavily the next few weeks. Go ahead and subscribe down below to check all that out, and we'll see you in those next videos.